Did you know that Gavrilo Princip's assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand in 1914 triggered a chain reaction that led to World War I, ultimately changing the course of history forever? This single act of violence, carried out by a young Bosnian Serb nationalist, plunged the world into decades of conflict and forever altered the political landscape. Princip's story is one of fervent nationalism, misguided idealism, and ultimately, unimaginable consequences. Gavrilo Princip was born in a small village in Bosnia-Herzegovina, then part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire. He grew up witnessing the struggles of his people, the Serbs, under Austro-Hungarian rule. Princip yearned for a unified South Slav state, free from foreign domination. He became involved with the Young Bosnia movement, a secret society of young nationalists who dreamed of throwing off the shackles of empire. On June 28, 1914, Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, visited Sarajevo with his wife, Sophie. The Archduke's visit was meant to be a show of strength, but it was seen as a provocation by many Serbs. Princip and his fellow conspirators saw this as their chance to strike a blow for their cause. As the Archduke's motorcade made its way through Sarajevo, Princip seized the opportunity and fired 2 fatal shots. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand sent shockwaves through Europe. Austria-Hungary, outraged by the killing, issued an ultimatum to Serbia, demanding impossible concessions. Serbia, backed by Russia, refused to comply fully. A complex web of alliances, forged over decades, kicked in. Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, and within weeks, Germany, France, Britain, and Russia were all drawn into the conflict. World War I, known as the Great War, raged for 4 long years. It was a conflict that engulfed nations and empires, drawing in millions of soldiers from across the globe. The war began in 1914 and lasted until 1918, leaving a trail of destruction and loss in its wake. It was a war unlike any before it, marked by trench warfare where soldiers lived and fought in deep, muddy trenches that stretched for miles. These trenches became the grim homes of countless soldiers who faced not only the enemy, but also harsh weather, disease, and the constant threat of death. New technologies like machine guns and poison gas made the battlefield even more deadly. Machine guns could mow down waves of advancing troops, while poison gas caused agonizing injuries and deaths. These innovations led to unprecedented casualties, with millions of soldiers and civilians losing their lives. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, officially ended the war, but left Germany humiliated and economically devastated. The treaty imposed harsh penalties and reparations on Germany, stripping it of territory and resources, and placing the blame for the war squarely on its shoulders. The seeds of resentment sown by the treaty helped pave the way for the rise of Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party in Germany. The economic hardship and national humiliation experienced by the German people created fertile ground for extremist ideologies. Hitler's promises of restoring Germany's former glory resonated with a population desperate for change, setting the stage for another devastating conflict on a global scale. Section 6. A world divided. World War II, even more destructive than its predecessor, erupted in 1939 with Germany's invasion of Poland. The horrors of the Holocaust, the use of atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and the sheer scale of death and destruction marked a new low point in human history. From the ashes of World War II emerged a new global order, one dominated by 2 superpowers, the United States and the Soviet Union. Section 7. The unfathomable cost. The 2 world wars and the ensuing Cold War exacted a devastating toll on humanity. Millions perished on battlefields and in cities from disease, starvation, and genocide. The war and economic upheavals that continue to shape the world today. Section 8. Beyond the headlines. Though often remembered solely for his role in igniting World War I, there's more to Gavrilo Princip than meets the eye. His actions on that fateful day in Sarajevo are well documented, but his motivations and personal history are often overlooked. Princip was a voracious reader, devouring the works of revolutionary figures like Karl Marx and Friedrich Nietzsche. These writings shaped his worldview and fueled his desire for political change. He was deeply influenced by the ideas of nationalism and self-determination, which were gaining traction in the Balkans at the time. He was known to be quiet and introspective, a far cry from the image of a cold-blooded assassin. Friends and acquaintances described him as a thoughtful and sensitive individual, often lost in his own thoughts. His quiet demeanor masked a burning passion for his homeland and a deep-seated belief in the right to self-governance. In fact, Princip was a frail young man suffering from tuberculosis, which would ultimately claim his life in prison in 1918. His health had been deteriorating even before his arrest, and the harsh conditions of his imprisonment only hastened his decline. Despite his physical frailty, his resolve remained unbroken, and he continued to believe in the cause for which he had sacrificed so much. His story is a poignant reminder that history is often more complex than it appears at first glance. Section 9. The Enduring Legacy. Gavrilo Princip's actions had a profound and lasting impact on the course of the 20th century. Born in 1894, Princip was a Bosnian Serb who harbored deep resentment against the Austro-Hungarian Empire's rule over his homeland. His fervent nationalist beliefs drove him to join the Black Hand, a secret society committed to the liberation of South Slavs from Austro-Hungarian control. The assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand on June 28, 1914, set in motion a series of events that led to 2 world wars, countless smaller conflicts, and a decades-long ideological struggle between superpowers. This single act of violence triggered a chain reaction, as alliances were called upon and nations mobilized for war. The Great War, as it was known, reshaped borders, toppled empires, and left millions dead or wounded. While it's impossible to say with certainty that these events wouldn't have transpired without Princip's act, his role as the catalyst for such widespread devastation is undeniable. The assassination highlighted the volatile nature of international relations and the ease with which a single event could spiral into global conflict. The war's aftermath sowed the seeds for future turmoil, including the rise of totalitarian regimes and the eventual outbreak of World War II. Princip's story serves as a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of unchecked nationalism, the fragility of peace, and the enduring power of individual actions to shape the course of history. His legacy is a complex one, marked by both infamy and a tragic sense of inevitability. The lessons of his actions continue to resonate today, as the world grapples with the challenges of nationalism, conflict, and the quest for lasting peace. Through understanding the past, we can hope to build a more stable and peaceful future.